Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to show you what I'm going to do to wrap up this hydroponics garden. Now it's that time of the year when the weather's getting colder and colder, and it's very late October, and in a couple more weeks these plants are going to start dying off. And no matter whether you have a soil garden or a hydroponics garden, wrapping up a hydroponics garden or any garden is quite a chore. So I'm going to show you what I do in a couple of steps on how to make cleanup easy thing. Now the whole point of these videos is to demonstrate how easy hydroponics gardens, and it's not just about just growing leafy lettuce as you've seen in many other hydroponics videos. Now these hydroponics gardens are quite versatile. In this tower alone I've been growing nearly a half a dozen different vegetables. Now if you have the tools, build one of these towers or build one of these NFT systems. You can't go wrong. And if you have kids, bring them into the building experience. It's a great learning experience, a great educational tool, and your kids will get a lot out of it. So let me show you what I've been growing in this garden. So the first thing I have in my hydroponics garden is green pepper, and they pretty much do well in any hydroponics. And I'll be featuring this in my next dim sum recipe. Next thing I have growing in abundance in my hydroponics garden is Chinese red peppers or Tianjian peppers, and these grow really well in hydroponics like the green peppers, and these are great for making Chinese chili oil, and you can never have too much chili oil in any Chinese cuisine. And here we have is Chinese leek. They grow throughout the spring, summer, and fall. And it's a great plant to have in your hydroponics because it's continually regrow back every like 2 weeks. And it's great for great stir-fry dishes and Chinese recipes. So here we have is Chinese celery, and they're a little bit different from your American counterparts. They have a little bit more flavor, a little bit better taste, and these plants were basically regrown from scraps. And basically, Chinese celery are great for either stir-fry or for cold dishes. So I highly recommend that get these for your hydroponics, and they grow really well throughout the whole growing season. So here we have is leftover lettuce from Costco, and I gotta say these hydroponically grown are much more flavorful, more fragrance than we get from the stores. And basically I've been using them for BLT sandwiches. And here we have is Thai red chili. They do extremely well in hydroponic garden like any other peppers, and I love to grow them in great abundance. You can never have too much. And this is my secret recipe for my chili oils. I use a 50% between the Chinese red chilies and the Thai red chilies, and give my chili oil a lot more flavor and heat. And here's some leftover Trader Joe basil. They grew really well in hydroponics until I forgot about them. And here we have some thyme. They grow pretty decent in hydroponics, and I save them for when I'm cooking steak or pork chops in cast iron with garlic and butter. Really great. And here we have regular green scallions. If there's any vegetables that I want to grow, this is my must-have vegetable. I practically use it in every recipe that I have. I harvest enough of this to make my money's back. And they basically grow really incredibly well in a hydroponics garden. So I highly recommend that you try this out in hydroponics if you haven't already. Here we have Chinese water spinach or kun qian cai. This was pretty much an experiment for me because I didn't know whether it will adapt to a hydroponics garden. Apparently I had two out of my 3 actually did survive, and it grew really well late in the season. And probably next year I'm gonna probably grow an entire tower dedicated to this, because this is a really great vegetable because it can grow through the spring, summer, and fall, and it doesn't bolt. So that's an A+ for growing vegetables throughout the whole season. So here we have is Chinese broccoli, or what looks like Chinese broccoli. This is more of a failed experiment. So I was trying to get Chinese broccoli acclimated to the hydroponic system, but this plant prefers cooler weathers. During summertime, it bolted frequently, and that's not something I want to see in the hydroponic plants in my system. So here we have a mystery plant. I'm not going to mention what it is, and you guys have to figure it out on your own. If you do, leave it in the section below. I'll tell you if it's right or wrong. So I just recently got this like 2 weeks ago, and I'm basically trying to adapt it to the hydroponic system, and eventually going to transfer it to a crafty system and in 5-gallon buckets and see if it works or not. So this is going to be a huge endeavor over the winter time into next year. So you'll see more videos on this the following year if I'm lucky. So when it comes to wrapping up my hydroponic garden, the first thing I like to do is basically turn off the power and empty the nutrient systems and just let the plants bake up in the sun for at least 2 to 3 weeks. In 2 to 3 weeks, these plants will be dry as a bone, and when you have dried up plants, it makes it so much easier to clean up. So if you're using hydroton medium, when you have dried up roots, it makes it so much easier to harvest back those hydroton material and recycle them for the following year. Trust me, if you do this, it makes your life so much easier. So basically when it comes to the next step, I like to have 2 buckets. 1 bucket for cleaning, 1 bucket for sterilization. And what I like to have is like this 10-inch netting pot, which you can get at any hydroponics garden. This makes harvesting and cleaning your hydroton so much easier. So just to explain a little bit more, so pretend this was one of my dried up plants. So this is basically a dime plant. So if this was dried up, I would basically rip apart as much of the root as possible and harvest the hydroton as much as possible. Once I empty it into this bucket, I basically take my regular garden hose and basically clean everything up and get rid of as much of the root as possible. After that, I like to toss all these hydroton into this 5-gallon bucket, and then on my stove, I like to boil some piping hot water and basically soak that hydroton in that hot boiling water as long as possible, and if necessary, repeat it a couple of times until you feel satisfied. And after you collect all your hydroton, let it just dry out in the sun for a couple of days until it's dry, but make sure that you don't let it freeze in the cold weather, because if it freezes, you'll see those hydroton start to break up. That's one mistake I made a long time ago, and you gotta make sure you do this early before the frost season comes. And if you don't have a place to let it dry out, just let it dry out near your burner downstairs or your gas stove, wherever. Any place where as long as you can get it dried before it freezes. So basically the last step is cleaning out your tower. You can use a whole range of chemicals like hydrogen peroxide or bleach to make it really clean, but I found that you don't really need to go do that route. Keep it simple, keep it clean. Just get yourself a pressure washer and just put soap in it and just wash away. It makes the whole process easier. It'll take anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes per a tower or a tube, or even less, depending how fast you are. So I found that using a pressure washer is so much fun and so much easier. And after you finish washing, just let it bake in the sun for a day or 2 and store it away for the season. And that's pretty much it. Just follow those 3 simple rules and you'll have your system done in a week with no trouble at all. Now that's all I have for today. If you have found the video interesting and informative, hit the like button. If you want to see more videos from me, hit the subscribe button. If you have any thoughts, comments, suggestions, leave in the section below. I'd love to hear back from you guys. Until next time, peace out and happy gardening.